Zeke, Veer, this is so exciting. You guys are just back, a few weeks ago, just back from the Giffoni Film Festival, where you all were jurors at the festival. You're 15, you're 14. What was that experience like? What's that experience when you're a teenager, packed off pretty much alone with two other jurors, two other Indian kid jurors? What was that like? What was the experience of sort of being on the jury?
It was actually really nice because, I mean, we were roaming around ourselves and we were roaming around as kids, but I felt really independent because, I mean, I got to just get up and go where I want. I didn't have to like look around, ask permission,
Right.
like call my parents, say, can I go? No, I just could get up and go. I could call a friend, let's go. So it felt really nice because I felt independent, and I mean, I'd love to do that again.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I also felt really independent throughout Giffoni, and I really enjoyed the friends that I made and the people I met. Definitely, just the Italian culture is just something really different.
Right.
And the street food over there, me and Zeke really enjoyed it. Definitely.
What was jury duty like? You know, watching, I mean, people tell me I have the best job in the world because I watch films for a living. To be, 10 days in the south of Italy watching films, how many films did you watch every day, roughly?
Two.
At the max.
Nice. And you have the rest of the time to kind of
Yeah.
take in
Yeah.
the culture.
Yeah.
Which is wow. That's the sort of dream job. Did you watch anything that you enjoyed? That you really enjoyed?
Yeah, I saw a lot of movies from a lot of different cultures. We saw a Japanese movie, we saw a Swedish movie, we saw a German movie from all around the world. These different movies, and I enjoyed a lot of them because of the story that was in them and how they portrayed their own culture. And it really taught me a lot about the places that the movies were from. Yeah, and I think that one of the major parts that entices you to be a juror for Giffoni is not only the fact that you watch two movies and you can do whatever you want the rest of the day, but the kind of movies are handpicked for kids,
Right.
by the jury office. So
Right.
it was really fun to see stuff that was well made, handpicked for us.
Yeah, and I mean, like now, after the kind of cinema I've been exposed to, I mean, any movie I watch, I mean, even if I go and watch an Iron Man, I'd start to like analyze it, like
Right.
check maybe this is what could have happened, maybe this is what happened, and it feels nice because, I mean, it's not like I'm trying to do it, it just happens. And we watch like amazing movie, and you can see the difference between a sad point in a Japanese film and something sad in a German film, how it's different, but it's still portraying the same message, which
Right.
is actually really amazing because the cinema is so different yet so similar in so many parts of the world.
Right.
Adding on to what Zeke said about analyzing the films, we had these debates after we watched a
Nice.
film in competition. So the entire theatre had a chance to speak about the film, which was really interesting to hear different point of views.
Right.
So an Indian like me could comment on a Japanese film about what I thought of it, and then an Italian can jump in and add on to my point, agree and disagree, and then a German could be like, no, actually I think that this is something that happened that was more major than what you said.
Do you find, and I ask this question to actors and filmmakers and adults all the time, do you find that, a good film is that people respond similarly to a good film irrespective of where we are from? Or do you find that you bring a little bit of your own culture and your own sensibility because you're from a different, you come from your own experiences? When you were having these debates, when you were sort of, when you all were talking with other jurors, what did you get?
I think, yeah, people pretty much had, like, although they expressed it in different ways, they had pretty much the same point of view or how they liked the same things. But I think like good films are mainly just like simple. That's why it's easy to understand, and it's so well made that maybe like a movie about our lives could be a great film if it was just done well.
Right. That's interesting. People ask me as a reviewer, I'm often asked, what makes a good film for you? What do you like about films, and what makes a good film and what makes not so good film in my head? And I often say that for me, if I relate to the characters, if I find that this feels real and it feels honest, and if I can sort of understand why the characters behave in the way that they do, then usually that kind of is what I'm usually entertained by. For you, what do you find yourselves being drawn to? Do you find that because you're younger, you enjoy a lot of the technology? Do you tend to find that you're drawn more to sort of special effects movies? Do you find that or do you ultimately just relate to other characters that feel like people that you know?
So I definitely, of course, VFX is something that I enjoy to watch, just the marvel of it. But I actually like characters more than the VFX because I feel like there's no point in having good VFX but no characters,
Right.
no character development. There has to be some meaning to it. And if there's no meaning to it, there's really no point in using that technology. Like we have such vast amounts of technology right now in the film industry, but if we don't have good story to pair with it, then it really makes no sense using it.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, I would have gone with VFX like maybe a month ago, but I think Giffoni really exposed me to a new side. I think only a few films use like VFX. I think the Japanese film we watched, but it's just plain simple cinema, which I'd love to watch right now because the way they portray meaning without using the special effects of a man jumping off a building and dying. I mean, it's just simple, a child or an adult acting, expressing how they feel,
Right.
expressing that emotion, which is simply what I'd love about watching movies.
It was really practical. A lot of the movies were really practically made because they weren't made for a large audience. It wasn't big budget movies. A few were more commercial than others, but they weren't big budget. And I feel like that really plays into how creative the filmmaker can be, not about the script and the movie, but how to film the movie. And I feel that's more interesting. Sometimes that's more interesting than watching the movie about how the filmmaker overcame the challenges to make the movie.
Right. Do you find that since you've had this experience, also being on the jury of the International Kids Film Festival last year, which gave you the opportunity to go to Giffoni this year, do you find that these opportunities and these experiences have sort of changed the way that you look at movies today? You know, the everyday Hindi film or the everyday American film, the new Avengers film, or whatever it is that you're watching. Do you find that these experiences sort of give you a different perspective when you're watching also not the artistic films?
So I've always and I will always enjoy any type of commercial, English or Hindi film.
Right.
I love watching them, but I definitely feel like an artistic film does come with the burden of not pleasing everybody.
Right.
So it's weird. Like a commercial film has more freedom because they know who they're targeting, but an artistic film, even though it's for a niche, pleasing that niche can always be harder than pleasing the masses.
God, you guys are so wise.
Exactly. I mean, you'd expect a big, like, I mean, Bollywood films are really famous in India. And
Yeah.
I mean, not trying to like shade anyone, but I mean, they're not the best films in the world. You have like just a simple film about maybe someone's death or someone having some illnesses. The way, I mean, Bollywood films have people flying off of buildings, landing on cars, and then skateboarding across
Right.
a wheel.
Which
A lot
is-
of it is fantasy.
Yeah.
Which is
exactly.
always entertaining.
Which is always
to watch
fun, of
too.
course.
Entertaining,
course.
no doubt about that, but there's a difference in like how you see a beautiful film, how you can portray meaning without using like different media and weird things.
Right. You know, it's very clear that you all have an interest and an understanding of films that is, I would say, definitely more refined than you know, kids your age. How much has your parents influenced? Because both of you, you know, come from film families. Zeke, Arshad, and Maria are your parents. Veer, Goldie, and Sonali are your parents. How much do you feel they have had an influence in shaping the way you look at movies, or even shaping your tastes?
I've truly grown up around movies. Like since I was born, there have been movies playing in the house, being on movie sets.
Yeah.
And I feel like that really did give me a boost in this kind of thing, and there's no question about it. That my parents really did help me to be where I am right now and help me establish my love of movies.
Right.
And it not only because I grew up around movies, but it's because seeing my parents work with
In
those
them,
movies,
yeah.
like being on set with my dad was always something that I really enjoyed to do as a kid, and still do enjoy going to set, watching him direct. It's just fun, and my mom acting. So it's always fun to do that. I have always enjoyed that, and so although it gave me a boost, I also feel like some of it did come from me,
Yeah.
and some of it is still gonna. And I still think that I'm the one who's gonna take the step, and not my parents
Right.
who are gonna make me take the step.
Right. Right.
I mean, they were really happy with me going to this, and my dad told me, like he said, there are certain points about cinema which you should know, how each film is different, you should know how to do this, and they really influenced me a lot from the time I was a child. I like he said, we used to go to sets, and I mean, how the film is shaped, I've learned all of that, but again, in the end, I think it's, obviously they have influenced me, but in the end, what I give, what outcome comes from me, that's all me. And I mean, it's great to know that they did help me and they influenced me, and they've been with me throughout the time, and they will be with me ahead as well.
Right. Did you make a lot of friends at Giffoni?
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. So we were actually staying with host families over there.
Uh-huh.
So it wasn't like we were staying in a hotel, but we were actually staying with an Italian family, eating with them, sleeping with them. And
Did you have a lot of spaghetti?
Yeah.
Too
A
much.
lot of pasta.
Yeah. So for dinner usually Giffoni is a small town, and a lot of the hosts stay in this small city named Salerno next to Giffoni. It's like a 20-minute drive away. So it was always fun, you know. I didn't spend as much time in Salerno as I did in Giffoni, but I still had fun with my host and his friends and meeting people.
It was amazing. I mean, I actually got to go to my host's friend's house, and it was amazing because the way we live here, I mean, my mom's really health conscious, so she wants me to eat healthy, but there, like,
all went out of the window?
Yeah, everything went out. I mean, we'd be eating big pizzas, like stuffed with cheese and
Calzone.
balls of like mozzarella. I mean, just casually, like we're eating pani puri. I mean, it was really an amazing experience.
You know, why do you feel from your experiences, why do you think cinema is important from a very early age? You know, to me, I'll tell you what I feel here. I feel like cinema is really a window to the world. I feel like not a lot of kids, not a lot of people get to travel as frequently as some do. But cinema becomes your sort of window to the world. Even if you haven't actually traveled and like actually met people from different parts of the world, it becomes your window. It becomes, you know, it becomes your understanding of cultures, like you said. Why do you feel cinema is important from an early age and sort of, you know, exposing youngsters to cinema from an early age?
I think, I mean, cinema will, because cinema is, I think to me, it's pretty influential in a way, because I mean, from when I was a kid, I used to watch things like Power Rangers, and I felt like if I move my hands weird ways, I'd get powers. And I mean, but it's actually sad in a way, because not everyone's exposed to great cinema. And like, I mean, certain movies, like I think today's on Netflix, it's really famous, but there are movies which are just fantasy, and the thing is that life isn't like that, but people, the kind of cinema they watch, because there are really great actors. So they learn cinema in that way, and then the real cinema that they're exposed to, like the cinema that actually shows how sad, how difficult someone's life is, that becomes rubbish, because they've learned and they've grown up with a kind of fantasy-like cinema, which is actually pretty sad, because if you grow up with good cinema, if you grow up with great cinema, I think you can end up becoming like a great person, maybe.
Sure.
So I've never been much of a reader. I'm gonna put that out there.
That's funny you say that, because your
my
mom
mom
runs
is
the
an
book club.
avid reader.
And you did actually once in a while pick up a book and
talked about
partner
it
with her, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but so I was never really that into reading. I did get I considering how much my mom reads, there's a certain amount to when I say I'm not a reader, because it's more than some people right now.
Correct.
But so I always enjoyed movies more than reading for some reason, and I think now after going to Giffoni, I'm suddenly starting to find out why. It's not that books are bad in any way. It's not that books are it's not like I hate reading. It's just that I enjoyed reading when it was something that I was interested in.
Sure.
And I feel that movies, they visualized what I was interested in and gave me a sense of reality to it. So I could imagine, so in a book, if there's an action sequence, I can imagine it anywhere, but an action sequence in this building shot. For some reason, I enjoyed that more than reading it, because I felt more grounded during the experience, and I felt that, oh, I've seen this place, I know this place, oh, it's in Mumbai, oh, I've seen this place over here. And I've always enjoyed that more than reading words. But yeah, I definitely think that movies can open up different worlds, and my mom always said that reading is important because it opens your eyes. I also think movies do the same thing.
Sure.
People, I remember people saying that movies, they just ruin your eyes. And I'm very against that because,
Parents say that to kids growing up, right?
Yeah,
Don't
but-
sit in front of the TV all day because it's going to ruin your eyes.
yeah, but my parents didn't say that to me. They allowed me to sit next to the TV, and I feel that that made me a more open person and made me more understanding about the world because I sat down in front of the TV and I saw the TV. So although my parents didn't like how long I was watching it, I still think I think I turned out okay because of that. But yeah.
You know, are your film watching habits censored by your families? Are you allowed to watch any, I mean, you're talking about Netflix, and I read that you met the actors from Stranger Things and at Giffoni, and that was very exciting. But are you monitored? Because that also could be important.
So the funny thing is that
Is nanny lock on your TVs?
it depends who I'm watching movies with. You see, if it's my mom, she actually sees, like, she reads if, oh, it's 16 plus, okay, you're not allowed to watch that.
Right.
But when it's my dad, whatever he's watching, he's like, oh, come here, sit down, watch this. Oh, you want to see Full Metal Jacket? Yeah, sure, just sit down, watch it. Godfather? Oh, okay, yeah, come. Sure, let's watch it.
I mean, I don't really watch like adult cinema as such, because I mean, it's, if I'm interested in something, I'd watch it. Like, I mean, like how I think half the teenagers my age, all of them are interested in watching Riverdale or like Teen Wolf or something, but I just don't watch things like that. I mean,
Right.
I'd sit and rather watch maybe an old film. Maybe I'd watch, like, I think there's a movie called The Breakfast Club, which is
Yeah, of course.
I think I'd watch maybe older cinema as
Right.
such rather than watching.
Your parents must be
Adult.
so proud. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can tell you that when my dad introduced me to Godfather when I was young, but my mom was always around, so I wasn't able to watch it. He's been promising that, oh, I'm going to show you Godfather for like the last 2 years now. And I finally got to see it this summer. And then me and him spent like an entire day. We watched Godfather, Full Metal Jacket, Goodfellas.
Wow.
And yeah, it was a fun experience, and I definitely could relate to these movies more after Giffoni and understand them more because of Giffoni. So I felt like it was a good thing I waited after Giffoni to see these movies.
To see these films, sure.
Yeah.
You know, is there in both your lives, in both your cases, is there one film I feel like changed your life is a very big thing to ask, but had a huge impact on you?
So this is pretty funny, but Pirates of the Caribbean.
Right.
It was the first adult movie that I watched that was PG-13.
Okay.
You know, that was the first one that I watched. I was like, oh, what? The action sequences, you know, it was like so when I was young, that was like the benchmark. When I was
Right.
like, whoa. And that was like it for me when I was young. So I feel like that movie really made a big impact. And, you know, people think, you know, oh, it's Jack Sparrow, oh, funny guy.
Right.
But I really related to Jack Sparrow, and I thought not only was he funny, but I enjoyed him, and I saw him as a figurehead.
Sure.
More than just a character, because he symbolized me growing up enough to see Pirates of the Caribbean.
Right.
And that's why I enjoyed Pirates of the Caribbean so much. I still enjoy it, and I feel that's why I have a special connection to those kind of movies. And
You're sure you guys are 15 and 14, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think for me it was System Crasher. It was one of the films we watched in Giffoni. The thing is, it wasn't really like a movie about like sunshines and rainbows. It did obviously have certain happy moments, but it was about this girl who had she had anger management problems, and I mean, it's not like I do, but how her life was, the way she saw it was different from others. I mean, to her anger maybe might not have seemed as a problem to her. It may have just seemed as something else in her life, like her hair or her eyes. But for her parents, for her siblings, the people who took care of her, it was a real problem. It seemed as if it was a disease which had to be solved, and I think that spoke to me in a way, because there are certain aspects about me which maybe my friends don't like, or my parents think that you should change. But the thing is that that's who I am, and I can maybe push it aside for a while, but that will always stay who I am and who I will grow up to be. And it's better to embrace it instead of just getting rid of it, because nothing can truly be like thrown away. It will always come back to bite you. And I mean, that's something which really made sense to me, and I love that movie.
I actually remember that movie for a really different, distinct reason. I was sitting next to the speakers during that movie, and there was a lot of screaming, and the volume was turned all the way up.
oh
so
dear, that's never a good, never a good spot to sit in. But you know, a lot of the references, a lot of the films that you're mentioning are foreign films or English films, non-Indian films. Have you watched a lot of Indian cinema? That could be art house, it could be hardcore commercial that you enjoy.
The funny thing is that my dad has always told me that if I do grow up and get into the film industry, I'm gonna make Hindi commercial movies. He's always said that to me because I've always enjoyed them so much.
Right.
I've always talked to my dad about why can't they make that kind of movie, but just a little better. Like I enjoy the masala movies,
Right.
but why can't they make it just a little better?
That's a great question. Yeah.
You know, and I feel like that's something that my dad also wonders a lot
Yeah.
of the times. And he like a few days ago, I was having a conversation with him. We were gonna see Uri for like the third. We were gonna see it for the third time on
Wow.
Z5, and we were gonna see it again. And then I told him that this movie, it was made for the masses. It has that one item song. It has, and it has those elements of a Bollywood movie, but it's well done.
Yeah.
Why can't there are other movies like that, but I definitely enjoyed that one because it's like a masala movie that I enjoy. But it has cutthroat action. It's well made.
Correct.
And
There's genuine craft.
there's genuine craft in it. And so those are the kind of movies in Hindi movies that I enjoy, which are commercial. Because I ask my dad that for some reason he's obsessed with me liking those kind of movies, and so me liking those commercial movies has always been a thing for him, because he never knew why I liked them, and I told them because it's funny.
Sure.
It's funny and it's entertaining, and I know.
Sometimes that's all that's, yeah.
I know,
yeah.
and I think my dad thinks that I'm wiser than I am, and that I'm smarter than I am. But at the end of the day, I watch movies to be entertained more than anything. It's
Right.
because I feel happy when I watch movies, and those movies make me laugh and feel happy.
Sure, and that's a great reason to sort of go to the movies.
I mean, it's weird because I don't really watch that much Bollywood, and all of my friends think I'm really weird because it's literally my dad's career, and
Right.
I don't really watch it. But
So you're not a Golmaal fan?
it's not like I'm not,
I am.
but I've never been really a major fan. I mean, I'd always prefer watching Hollywood over Bollywood, and I don't think my parents know this, so once they watch this.
Yeah, well.
But I mean, there are certain movies, like as he said, Uri, which actually sent out strong messages, and I think if Indian cinema was more like this, I'd honestly watch it, because I can relate more to an Indian movie than any other Hollywood movie, because I am an Indian, and it's that which I understand.
Yeah.
It's Indian movies and which I can relate to, and if more Indian movies had a deeper meaning,
Right.
and like obviously not just all sad,
Yeah.
Right.
but I'd watch it more instead of like Hollywood.
Sure.
I think there's like something that I need to change about myself, definitely. That I always have related to Indian movies, but I'm also majorly related to English movies also, because I've traveled throughout my life.
That's right.
So I've related to both of them, but I feel like now for some reason I'm losing my touch to Hindi movies. So I think when I get home, I'm going to watch something.
Okay.
I'm going to watch a Hindi movie, or I'm going to go and see Mission Mangal maybe.
Yeah. What I want to ask is also about, about a certain kind of film. Because I would imagine at Giffoni, I certainly know that at IKFF, you're watching a lot of short films that are being made. You're watching a lot of different kinds of films that are made in India, but not necessarily the format of the Bollywood commercial, laughs and fight sequences and all of that. Is that something that you've enjoyed? Is that something that you find that you have a taste for? The sort of, I don't want to use the word offbeat, because offbeat almost has a negative sort of connotation to it, but something that's not the usual Bollywood sort of film.
Against the grain.
Yeah.
I think it was a great experience. I mean, all the Hindi movies I've watched have some fight scene of some like actor punching this guy and flying across.
And that's great fun.
It's there's no doubt it is amazing, but watching a film that didn't have a fight scene, that didn't have something to like make you feel like something really like unnecessarily sad, like someone. I mean, it felt good because I still felt those same emotions. I was on the edge of my seat. I mean, there was sad scenes. There were scenes that had there were fight scenes, but it wasn't over the top. It wasn't people jumping off of buildings, and it was just a simple real life fight scene, which or some real life something sad. Maybe like this kid got bad marks in his paper, and he's scared to tell his parents because they wanted him to get great marks, and they think he's like an amazing child, but he's scared to tell them that I can't do this. And so I think that's a great way of actually showing cinema, and yeah, it was a great experience.
Do you have ambitions to? I would have normally said perhaps it's too early to ask you this because you're just 14 and 15, but I feel like today kids know. Do you have ambitions to make films, to work in the movies? Do you feel like this love for watching cinema sort of extends to what you want to do in life?
I think it does, and I definitely think that's probably something that I'm going to have job security in the future. But I feel like I'm still deciding right now.
Sure.
Because although when I was young, I knew what I wanted to be, but now it's changing.
What was that? When
I wanted to be a filmmaker when I was young, and I still hold that proudly. But I still hold that stand. But I feel like there's so many other things that I'm finding and learning about in school and discovering that I feel that I don't know where I'm going to end up in the next 10 years maybe after college. And
sure.
So
don't have any set kind of ideas. Yeah.
I think I'm definitely, like, my dad tells me, if you want to be a filmmaker or if you want to get into acting, tell me, because he knows what it's like. He knows how it is, so he can help me. And I mean, he keeps telling me, don't be shy, just tell me. And it's not that I don't want to be, but it's also not that I don't want to be. I mean, I'm planning to take film in school, so it'll be a great exposure to like learn about different like film, and I get to make films in school as well. I've made like a little film on iMovie, which was actually, it was with two of my closest friends, and I may actually, if I got the opportunity, do films, of course. And yeah, I think it'll be great, because I mean, I'm pretty much going in my dad's footsteps maybe.
Well, all the best. This was great fun. I mean, I really enjoyed chatting with you. I feel like I've grown a little. I feel like I feel like, wow, I wish I was so. I wish I was so smart. When I was your age, or at least had some sense of what I liked and didn't like, and what I wanted to do in life. So thank you for inspiring me. But congratulations. I think it's great that y'all already have this love for cinema, because I do think it's true. I really do think that films open up the world for you and really affect the way that we look at the world and look at people and understand cultures and have more empathy. I think the movies allow us to have a lot more sensitivity and empathy towards those that are not as fortunate, those that are in different situations from us. And the two of you, we are looking forward to seeing you guys do a lot more exciting things. All the best. I'm glad you had a great time in Giffoni, and lots more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.